One, two, three.
Three.
All right. That was probably close to each other. Good. Hey, Ben.
Yeah. Hey, Ben.
All right. Welcome to a new episode of What Exactly Am I Watching Here, a proud member of the Overthink Podcast Network. I'm your host for now, Jason Helms, and I sound like this. With me is my doppelganger, Dominic Lang. Say hi, Dom.
Hi, Jason. I sound like this.
Before we begin, a quick introduction to the show. What Exactly Am I Watching Here is a podcast that features an expert and a novice watching one of the great shows of television history. The stars turn and a time presents itself. Something is missing, and I think it's you, dear listener. For now, our show is the cult favorite Twin Peaks. We were going to be talking about Twin Peaks: The Return, episode 2 today. So if you're new to the show, if you're new to Twin Peaks, go back and catch up on about 30 episodes or so, and we'll see in a few moments. Just pause the podcast and catch back up.
Yep.
All right. Keep your eyes on the giant glass box because my log has a message for you. Dom, where did we leave off?
So we left off with end of part 1. We see Agent Cooper in the waiting room of the lodges, sort of like the room between the lodges, perhaps.
Yep.
Sometimes called the waiting room, sometimes called the red room. It's the room with the chevron floor. And so we see him there. He's received a message from the giant, or from question mark, who we don't know his name. There are a lot of new characters, a lot of new settings. We have been to New York, we have been to the Dakotas, and we've been to Twin Peaks. Hawk is investigating Agent Cooper's files because of a message received by the log lady, and I think that's about it. So we are very much all over the place.
Yep. And for a show that I think in episode 2, and certainly by the time we get to episode 3, is very slow, really feels like it drags, perhaps productively, at the very least intentionally. A lot is happening in each episode. So let's jump into some of this. Let's start with Bill and Phyllis.
Bill and Phyllis are the two of the new characters, and there's been a murder in the Dakotas, and Bill Hastings is arrested for that murder, or on suspicion of that murder, and he confesses to his wife that he had a dream about being in the apartment of the murdered woman. And so he says, I wasn't there, but I had a dream that I was there. And the murdered woman, her name is Ruth Davenport. And so Phyllis, Bill's wife, knows about an affair. Apparently there's been an affair, or an ongoing affair, between Bill and Ruth. And then Bill spits back to Phyllis that he knows about an affair between Phyllis and their lawyer, George. And so for me, this was quintessential Twin Peaks of people hiding something beneath a veneer. It was multiple affairs, soap opera-ish to an extent, sure, but very much a surface exterior of everything's great, everything's wonderful, and just beneath that, something horrific and something, lots of betrayal going on.
Yeah, and it's that was the ingredients of the original Twin Peaks, was soap opera, prime time, and David Lynch weirdness, right?
Yeah.
And the quirk that comes from that, and I think that's really been updated in The Return. But with maybe some additions. One of them, it being feels much more like a police procedural.
A little bit, yeah.
Some of the stuff surrounding Bill and Phyllis. A few new ingredients, perhaps, to the stew. No one cries better than Matthew Lillard.
I was gonna say that. I love the way he cries.
I really do.
So far, I got to be honest. So far, Matthew Lillard is my favorite character in Twin Peaks.
He is strong. He is real strong. I really like that, Matthew Lillard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is odd. Bill tells Phyllis that he had a dream about
Yeah.
being in Davenport's house,
Mhm.
which is a really, really weird excuse because it would not explain away his fingerprints.
Yes.
And the fact that then she says, "I know about the affair," is it like, wait, was that his way of covering for the affair?
Mm,
Because it seems like it would have just been easier to say, "Yeah, I was having an affair with her. That's why my fingerprints are everywhere." Um, and
true.
that's easy coverage and doesn't put him there the night before necessarily.
Yeah.
Whereas the dream feels like it kind of does. So I guess a question would be: is maybe he's telling the truth about it there being a dream?
Yeah. Yeah. Normally, well, I guess normally, yeah, you're confessing to the affair, but you also know that your wife's having an affair. Uh, and so either way, I don't know, Bill seems very unnerved
Yeah.
by the situation he's in. And I think the fact that he had a dream about this woman and then the next day she winds up dead, uh, her body missing, her head's in the bed, but
Yep.
the rest of herself is missing.
Yep.
I think that's what terrifies him.
Yeah.
And just the like unaccountability of it, or not being able to like reconcile what was happening that night.
Yeah, and as show watchers, I don't think we think that Bill did it. In the sense that maybe he could have murdered her, but he did not replace her body with a man's body.
Mm,
That feels like some
yeah,
spooky stuff is going on. Or if he did, it was Bob.
yeah.
You know,
That was my first thought, honestly.
yeah,
Like I had a dream I did it, and like that sounds like Bob, or
yeah,
that sounds like something akin to Bob.
yeah. Basically, though, it doesn't feel like a simple murder mystery where
No,
he needs an excuse, or like an excuse is going to get him out of this. This is going to unwind quickly.
yeah. So Phyllis returns home from the police station, and she finds Evil Coop in the corner of the room.
Yep.
And well, okay, so this interaction kind of like tweaked me a bit because uh, Coop tells her that obviously they know each other from somewhere. I think they know each other from somewhere.
I agree.
And he says you acted exactly like human nature.
Yes.
Like and then he kills her.
Yep.
And um and I don't know if it was the lighting that was playing tricks on me, but that close up of Phyllis's body, it didn't look like it was just normal like guts or normal blood. I don't know, but it looked like purple, blue, like jewel tones.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Or
I didn't notice that, but
okay.
I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
I think the gore in this show is treated differently, and I think sometimes it means something. I guess is all I'll say at this point.
Okay.
I don't recall that, but
Yeah,
that
it
sounds about right. I mean, if you think of the way that the two people, I can't remember their names right now, but in New York watching the glass box, that they were killed.
yeah.
It certainly doesn't look realistic. It's definitely staged artfully. And it gruesome art, but if you've ever seen, I do have David Lynch's coffee table book.
Oh boy,
which includes dead bugs and dead fish. It's kind of amazing. It's definitely art. Is what we're seeing in that gruesome scene.
Okay.
For Lynch. But let's talk of more pleasant things. What of creamed corn and diners?
Yes. So before Doppelkoop kills Phyllis, he delights in some creamed corn in a diner, meeting up with Daria, and I'm forgetting the other person's name.
Jack? No, the Jack is the guy who's just putting it away.
Yep. I am struggling with his name.
There's too many characters. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. Don't tell me that.
It's not your fault.
Damn it! Not you too. And so there's a little bit like a creamed corn Easter egg.
Yeah.
And that sounds disgusting, by the way. But
Cream cone Easter egg.
Yuck. But there is a little pain and sorrow right there in that diner.
Armin Bosia.
Later on, Evil Coop mentions or references. He references Major Briggs while he's having a conversation with whom he believes to be Philip Jeffries.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we're going back to Fire Walk with Me and the importance of having watched the fan cut and all the missing pieces mixed back in.
Yeah, and he seems confused. Is this Philip Jeffries? I think he asks, or he's not sure. And there's some distortion in the voice, but also we all know as viewers that David Bowie is dead.
Yeah,
and that he did not reprise his role. Although there was some speculation about that at the time. Would he or would he not? At what point was it? And all that.
But I wouldn't put it past David Lynch to recast roles.
Right. But I think that is this Philip Jeffries might be a reference to. It can still be Philip Jeffries, but it's definitely not David Bowie.
Okay, yeah, because you have, in between season 2 of Twin Peaks and you have then The Return, there's the film Lost Highway. Is that it? Where a full-on actor change midway through for one character and nobody references the change.
Well, yeah, and in Eraserhead, there is a scene in which the actor is Pete. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Opens a door, and when he walks through the other side of the door, I think it's 5 years later in real life because David Lynch didn't have funding. It's maybe even more. But
wow.
There's not the first time he's done something like that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is off-putting. I think he can lean into that in some ways. All right, so what we get from that is that that Doppelkoop, Evil Coop, he's supposed to go back to the Black Lodge, and he says, "I'm not going to go."
Yeah,
I'm not going back.
And so this marks this feels like I guess it's vintage, or it feels like vintage Twin Peaks in the sense that we're using terminology that people who've seen the show are super accustomed to.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Major Briggs, we're talking about the Black Lodge, and so this feels okay. I expected things to pick up momentum wise after this.
Yep.
And I don't.
How'd that go?
Not well, not great. It kind of just stayed the same, slow.
Dog gets set for episode 3.
Oh boy, I'm trying not to say. It doesn't feel meandering,
right?
But it just feels strange. I'm just continually. Every scene I think, okay, this is where we pivot, and now things start to coalesce. No, things just keep spreading out. Things just keep going.
I think there's a lot that's off-putting about the original Twin Peaks, but it's very rare that the pacing itself is off-putting. There's a few scenes, but you come to enjoy them. The quirkiness of Ben and Jerry and their dance scenes.
Yeah.
Things like that, where it's okay, but something is happening, and I kind of enjoy what's happening. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
In The Return, the pacing is, I think, deliberately off-putting, and usually in really uncomfortable moments or where you want to find out something, and Twin Peaks will not tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. Do you feel like there's a purpose behind that off-puttingness? I guess why would you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's one for Lynch in general because his stuff is so off-putting. It's so uncanny, and often it's troubling in ways that you can't put your finger on.
Yeah,
and it is in some sense just his brand and his mark that he puts on things. It's like Hitchcock walking through the back of a shot. It's Hitchcock. What Hitchcock did with suspense.
Yeah.
Lynch does with the uncanny and the off-putting and awkwardness and just that disturbing vibe. This is. I think The Return really is a machine for generating unpleasantness. In some ways, it's not a pleasant watching experience, but I can't put it down. It's that thing that you smell, and for whatever reason you go, let me smell that one more time. Why would I know that it smells bad? I just smelled it, but I'm going to lean in 1 second more and just go, yep, still bad.
Yep, David Lynch. Let me smell that one more time.
Let me smell that one more time.
Yes, please.
Yeah, is that rotten trash? Oh, yeah.
that is trash. Yeah. That is trash. So Cooper has. I wanted to get back into the waiting room because it feels like there's more things happening in a place that I don't know where exactly that is.
Yes.
He sees Laura Palmer. We see Laura Palmer. We see Laura Palmer again. Laura Palmer, who claims to be both alive and dead.
Yep.
She tells him that you can go out now.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's some sort of like whatever was happening, whatever did keep him here.
Yep.
Is ending and can go. And then she is pulled up by something.
Oh, that's terrifying.
That is by some horrific like jump cut, shudder, scream, roar, monster, like shunk, and she's gone.
Yep.
Something's off in whatever that sphere of existence is.
Really? You think it might be a little off? Okay, interesting.
I think gasp. Something's off. Well, no, in the sense that Mike himself says it. Something is wrong.
Yes.
The arm, by the way, in the meantime, holy smokes! Like so Cooper, we're used to the arm being a dwarf who talks backwards and has really great dance moves. Right. That's fine. That's fine. We turn the corner, and now the arm is an electric tree with a spongy, fleshy, or looks like an old like blood orange that is sparking, and it's
also an organ of some kind.
Yes, yes, it's like a heart and an orange combined, and it's moving and speaking, and that's the arm now. And there's some messages that the arm gives, but most importantly, the arm has a doppelganger also.
Yes.
Yes.
Troubling.
Yes, and a very pissed off doppelganger by the looks of it, because it drops Cooper into non-existent or whatever hellscape. So he's dropped into this, what feels very similar to how Laura Palmer is taken. And then he is deposited into that glass box in New York. I feel like I'm playing a game of Mad Libs right now.
Yes.
I'm describing Twin Peaks, and it feels like I'm playing Mad Libs. Just like, yeah. And then there's a glass box. Yep. And like,
well, and I think that's actually a really apt comparison, because you are meant to fill in the blanks to a great degree in this one. So okay, go on to please finish your Mad Libs. I don't want to fill in too much for you.
Yeah, so he gets dropped into the glass box in New York, but then there's this like shrinking, expanding thing, and he vanishes just before our latte-loving couple comes back and is eviscerated by a pissed-off ghost who breaks the glass. So Cooper was there, but they don't see him. I would assume that if the cameras are recording, that they would catch something like that. Like, wouldn't they?
That's a solid question. We'll see if anybody ever finds that footage.
I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly about the replacement of the arm. And again, we've got the theme of doppelgangers, which should not be surprising in a show called Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got the arm has a doppelganger, but the arm also is a doppelganger in that I think it says, this is what I look like now. I'm the arm and this is how I sound. I'm the arm and I sound like this. Which it's great that, again, the weirdness of David Lynch, the random stuff he throws into the original, like I will see you in 25 years, having the man from another place say, I'm the arm and I sound like this. Oh, whoa, 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 whatever that is.
Yeah.
It sets him up perfectly to be replaced. So all of those give him future things to riff off of and play with. So I think we alluded to this earlier, but the reason that Michael J. Anderson, who played the man from another place, aka the arm, was replaced, is that he got super racist. Big Trump supporter, big anti-political correctness, and really, really hated David Lynch and spread some rumors about him. I'm not sure what the rumors are. I haven't looked into them too much. But evidently Lynch's daughter at one point said, I hope he receives the help and peace he needs. So this was a real ugly falling out, and he acted in multiple Lynch projects.
Wow.
And so it's got to feel like a real middle finger to replace him with a tree with a really troubling, disturbing organ on top of it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Wow.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like it's an artistic leap of just like Lynch trusting his impulse, and it feels like if anybody else were to do that, it would feel lazy.
Yeah.
Of just like, okay, so what does the arm look like? It's like a tree, and on top of this tree there's this thing, and I'm not sure why. I think in a strange way, I do appreciate, and I think I said this at the beginning of watching Twin Peaks initially, like I appreciate the faith he puts in the viewer of just like, I mean, it really does feel like we're back to shining a projector through this guy's head.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, these are like, this is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing doppelgangers, we're seeing an interaction between different planes of existence. We're seeing darkness and things hiding beneath the surface, and they're all kind of swirling together.
Yeah.
And again, like it is, I mean, it's anti-plot still has some sort of like still takes place in a, like environment. This is just has so many environments and so much. Twin Peaks feels less like a place now and more like a spirit.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the way that the two coincide in some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, where does Lynch know if he's going with this and all that kind of stuff. We talked about Lynch, or we've referenced the fact that he's an absurdist director before, and his roots go into, Dadaism and all that stuff. And I think the real question behind all of that is, how do we stop telling the same story over and over and over? How do we find a way to tell new stories and think in new ways? And what the Dadaists went to with that is using randomness to increase their chances, pulling words directly from the dictionary, just opening to a random page, pointing and saying, okay, that's where we go. That's where the term Dada comes from. Is that they picked it out of a dictionary at random, using cut-up poetry, things like that, finding new constraints. It continues on with Oulipo, which is a 1950s through 70s project, I believe, of these writing games. In my video game class, I used to actually teach this, but you'll know probably the exquisite corpse practice, which is where it can be done with drawing or writing. Okay. With drawing, you draw something on a folded up piece of paper, and then you fold it in a certain way so that only the lines that kind of got to the edge fold over, and then somebody continues those lines and draws a little bit more, and then you fold again, and you're left with, this unfolded thing that has, a donkey's head, and in the middle there's just abstract shapes, but it all connects and flows in these weird ways that it is one piece.
Wow.
That's really interesting. And they did that with poetry as well. Write 4 lines and then only show me the 4th. And then I'll write 4 lines and I'll only show the next person the 4th. I do these practices in class. It's really, really fun to see what students create because they tell the most interesting stories that way.
Yeah. What do you like? What's the end feeling? Because it feels like it's also like trying to do away with the like result idea. Like, we are going to make X thing to perform excuse me, to perform Y function. Like, I'm not, like doing away with, I'm going to make this particular element to perform this particular thing. It more kind of feels like you're going to have a feeling and I'm going to catch the last 20% of it. And then I'm going to have an experience, and then someone else is going to catch the last 20%. And so that sharing.
Yes.
Creates a different feeling than it were to like, hey, we're going to create something together. Like, let's all do this at the same time.
Yes. It does away with revision, that kind of constraint on you to fix something and make it look right in some ways. And it guarantees that it will look wrong. And so it kind of breaks you of that instinct. That really is that instinct to fit it into kind of recognizable patterns and things like that.
Yeah.
Remember back to episode 2 of the original series, Zen, or the skill to catch a killer.
Yeah.
It's the exact same process, right? Tibet, he's drawn it on a chalkboard. He's going to throw rocks at a glass jar.
60 feet 6 inches away.
60 feet 6 inches. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so there are rules to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the specific rules don't necessarily matter as much as that there have to be rules that will prevent you from going with what we might call your gut, but is actually just what typically happens, right?
Yeah.
There's a murder case, and the cop investigating it goes, the husband did it, before looking at any details. And more often than not, she or he is right.
Mm-hmm.
But that you need to be open to new ideas, or you're never going to solve the tough cases.
Yeah.
And that's where the FBI comes in. That's where Dale Cooper comes in, is solving the tough cases, solving the cases where the husband may not have done it. And that's what David Lynch wants to do. Is you can go to McKee's book Story, right? If you want to write a pilot, if you want to have success, if you want it to be popular, that's great ways to do it. But if you want to break television, if your goal is really to create something new, something people haven't seen before, realizing there's got to be an audience out there that wants something new.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to find new rules for yourself. And I think those new rules are what result in the new look of the arm and things like this. And again, it does serve him right. I think, I'll see you in 25 years. We got to look back to that as the ultimate moment of, wow, how did that happen? How did that happen? Is he throws everything at the wall.
Yeah.
There's so much randomness in there. Could there have been another moment that he could have pulled on? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He would have found some other reason to replace the arm or some other means of doing it. But he used the ones that he had created that didn't make any sense at the time, that only make sense in retrospect, and that he in no way intended.
Yeah. He's faithful to his randomness.
Yeah. And it pays him back.
Oh, totally. Totally. And yeah, in a way of like, I think, I don't know if Lynch is ever this intentional, but like by sharing, I think it's an odd kind of generosity, but there is a generosity to sharing the abstraction and sharing that surreal, that absurdism, because like maybe he's like one of the few artists that can do this, but he's not the only person who thinks nonlinear or who has absurd thoughts or whose dreams become dark and twisted one moment and then bright and cheery and jazz song the next.
Yes.
Like there is that chaos within all of us.
Exactly. Within every single one of us. And he wants us to find it. And this show is about you going out and creating art, right? How many shows would we not have if there was no Twin Peaks? We wouldn't have Lost.
Oh,
We
yeah.
wouldn't have The Leftovers. We wouldn't have half the shows that we want to talk about on here without Twin Peaks, or they would have looked drastically different.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that this absurdist stuff, we want so badly to find the meaning, to figure out the metaphors, especially think of the arm, right? This weird tree with a mass on the top of it.
Yeah.
What's it a metaphor for? What does it mean? And I don't think it works like that. It's not symbolism. It doesn't mean it. It does. It acts. It causes you to have a reaction. That's the goal.
Agreed.
Non-existent.
and chevrons go apeshit. The floor just and dropped into stars and shit. It really does feel like negative space.
Mark it, Ben. We've got our episode title: Chevrons Go Apeshit.
Yep.
Negative space. I like that. It's weird. And that sense of it's so cartoony, right? The floor splitting and one leg on each side until he falls between them. It really is cartoony, and yet there's nothing humorous about that scene when you're watching it. It feels disturbing, especially when you have been promised 25 years later, Coop is getting out. You can go out now.
Yes. I'm like, here he comes. Here. And there is a bit, he pulls the curtain back and sees his doppelganger on the road, doesn't he?
Right there.
Right there.
About to get real car sick in episode 3. Let's move towards there. But what do you think happened? Do you have any interpretation of the events that happened?
Yeah, it feels like the doppelganger, the arm's doppelganger, Armelganger?
The Armelganger.
Armelganger feels far more malicious.
Yes. Well, so is Coop's doppelganger.
True. And I guess that's in line with kind of the historical notion of a doppelganger.
Yep.
And so the doppelganger, I don't know, if that was the moment where Cooper was going to leave. And so it's a way of trapping Cooper in negative space.
Yes.
That's what it feels like, the Phantom Zone.
Yep. And recall that Koopelganger said, "I'm not going to go back."
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to be like hell I am, you can't get me. It was much more like, oh, don't worry, I've got a plan. And so I'm gonna put out there, what if the doppelgangers are in cahoots? And just let that sit.
Okay.
I think that will help us with episode 3 when we get there.
Okay.
But for now, let's talk about your favorite character. I'm going to insist that James is still cool. Tom, he's always been cool.
No, he's not. He's not always been cool. God.
He hangs out with a weird glove. How much cooler can you get than that?
You can get a lot cooler.
It's a weird glove.
I'm going to write an essay about how cooler you can be, how much cooler you can be than James Hurley.
All right.
Anyway.
So we're back to the Bang Bang Club.
Yes. And we see James is there. Shelley is there. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Shelley is there. And apparently the Bang Bang Club is now a nice music venue, or there were music there before, but now we've got some more recent acts, which is nice. So, it feels like a very small visitation. Nothing major plot wise or event wise occurs. There's some looks exchanged, so more just okay, these people are they're in the thoughts as well. They're in this environment and they're in this spirit also. And
not for the last time, we have a band playing at the Bang Bang Club as the credits roll. And we get some information as the credits roll, trying to find out what in the world just happened to us. But we will be back in just a week. You can catch us here on the Overthink Pod with episode 3 of Twin Peaks: The Return. So thanks again for joining us. You can get a hold of us on Twitter, where our handle is @OverthinkPod. Find more at overthinkpod.com. I'm on Twitter as @HelmStreet with 1S. Dom, where can the people find you?
I can find me on Twitter @Dominic_Lang and Instagram as well, Dominic Lang.
All right. Well, not to sound too foreboding, but you can go out now. And cut. Ben, that's the end of episode 2 of Twin Peaks, The Return, and we're just about to start episode 3. And we're rolling at a good pace, 35 minutes for that first one.
So, nice.
So okay. That's about what I'm hoping that we do. So this sounds good. Yeah. All right. Do you need a moment, or are you good to go?
I'm just looking back.
Take your time.
Okay. Yeah, this man, you're gonna have to help me through Purple Rain. Okay.
Yeah.
That is some weird shit going on.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to a new episode of What Exactly Am I Watching Here, a proud member of the Overthink Podcast Network. I'm your host for now, Jason Helms, and I am no longer a lonely soul as I'm joined by my good bud, Dominic Lang. Say hi, Dom.
Hi, Jason. So good to be near you. So good to be talking with you.
Dom, Take that again, Ben. Dom, someone manufactured you for a purpose, but I think now that's been fulfilled. Before we begin, a quick introduction to this show. What Exactly Am I Watching Here is a podcast that features an expert, myself, and a novice,
myself,
watching one of the great shows of television history. For now, our show is the cult favorite Twin Peaks. We're going to cover Twin Peaks: The Return, episode 3. We're doing it one episode at a time. If you're just tuning in, perhaps start over. Find all of the episodes we've recorded. There's literally like 30 of them now. And maybe watch some Twin Peaks before you listen to this, because otherwise we will make no sense at all. Oh crap. Sorry, guys. I think we better hurry. My mother's coming. All right. And one last thing for you before we get to where we left off. They said the blue wave would never reach Alabama, but my friend, they did not know Dougie Jones.
Ooh, Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones. All right. Tom, where did we leave off? Let's start trying to make some sense.
Good luck. Cooper's been dropped into non-existence by the Arms doppelganger. Bill Hastings denied bail. His wife Phyllis shot dead by Koopelganger. We have what else? We have the Bang Bang Club with super cool James Hurley still around.
He's always been cool.
Always been cool. And we have Hawk investigating the missing pieces, apparently, of Cooper's file.
Purple rain, purple rain. All right. Time to jump in, Dom. Do you have any questions about the first bit that happens? Coop drops in somewhere, has some adventures, and then goes somewhere else. Anything we need to add to that, or?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Cool.
I didn't really have any questions.
Cool. Good.
Actually, wait. I had about 800 questions.
800. Good.
806. I counted. So Cooper in non-existence comes to in a purple-hued atmosphere and environment. He meets an eyeless woman.
Yep.
And goes to approach a device. She begs him not to.
Yep, and let's clarify. He's in this purple-hued atmosphere.
Yes.
In a huge building that appears to be in the middle of an ocean.
Yes.
All right, now continue.
Yeah, right. He and the eyeless woman ascend a ladder.
Yep. After she urges him not to open the door and to hurry up because her mother is coming.
Her mother's coming, right. So to escape mother, they go up the ladder and they reach the roof of wherever they are. Turns out it's a lot smaller than it's sort of like a TARDIS.
It is.
It's very much like a purple hue Twin Peaks TARDIS. So let's just go with that. And there's some dials that are turned by the eyeless woman. She falls off into the void. And then
Amen.
And then there is my favorite, Don Davis, PhD.
Back.
He's back.
PhD.
Major Briggs.
Dr. Davis himself.
Major Briggs. Back. The disembodied head of Major Briggs.
And he says,
Blue Rose.
Blue Rose.
Rose. How about that?
You see, she had a real sour expression on her face.
See, you can't see this in the pod, but I'm doing the four fingers in front of the face, which
who's not mentioned? Who's not in the picture? The uncle. That's right. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Cole said you were sharp. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And so Cooper goes back down. He descends. He meets another woman
who is credited as,
I don't know.
Shoot. Oh, this is gonna blow your mind.
No.
Ronette Pulaski.
What? No way.
The credits are important, man. You got to read the credits.
Holy shitballs.
Yeah.
Ronette Pulaski?
Ronette Pulaski.
Oh, my. That just completely changed the episode.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. Mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. Ronette Pulaski.
Now, there's a name I've not heard in a long time.
What? I just reminded myself of Jeff Tobolowsky from Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Ned?
Ronette?
It's another time travel, time warp movie. That fits.
Absolutely.
So Ronette Pulaski guides, I don't know if she guides him, but she.
I apologize. I think she's the one who says my mother's coming.
Oh, okay.
It's not the Alice woman.
There's a reference to the time 253.
Yes.
Which I think was mentioned first by the Arm in part 2. Yep. So the Arm mentions 253, and at that time, Cooper approaches the device again, and just before he is sucked into the device, Ronette says, "When you get there, you will already be there."
Just good advice in life. I mean, I think that's always true.
Yeah. When you get there, you will already be there. Potato, potato.
But perhaps in this sense, it means something else.
I think so. I think it does. And there's a lot. So 253, there's a lot going on at 253 because Cooper in Purple Rain is going through some sort of device, some sort of like portal.
Yeah. Portal. That looks like an electrical socket.
It does.
Tucked into it.
Yeah, it looks like a really massive electrical socket. There is Doppelkoop, who is driving through the desert. At 253, he somewhat like loses consciousness and has this incredible car wreck, vomits an incredible amount of Garmonbozia.
And perhaps black blood.
Yeah, just like bile. Just disgusting stuff. Passes out, and as the pièce de résistance, we get to meet Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones,
who is an overweight, who looks like Cooper, another doppelganger.
Yeah.
Who apparently likes to spend time with Vegas escorts in unrented houses.
Now, spoiler alert, Mike is going to tell him in just a moment that someone manufactured him, but for a purpose.
Okay.
All right. So you can start working on your theories.
Yeah. So Dougie Jones, we have very little actual time with what feels like the Dougie Jones, right. Whoever this like menu or whatever this thing is, because Dougie gets sick, vomits what looks like
Garmonbozia.
Yeah.
Except less bloody.
But yeah, less bloody and in a very neat and tidy pile.
Yeah.
It looks like, yeah.
By the way, I kind of like Dougie. I mean, he's a shitty guy, right? Everything about him is awful. But that stupid grin on his face and the way he treats his numb arm after just having sex with the sex worker that he's there with, he just seems so stupidly happy.
Yeah. He just, that's the perfect way to describe him. Stupidly happy.
Yep.
He gets sick, he doubles over, and the curtains appear before him. So the red room, the curtains, and he is like taken in, absorbed. Mike appears to him, and so you've been manufactured for a purpose, but that purpose is done.
I think that's been fulfilled now.
That's been fulfilled now.
So, pop quiz, hot shot.
Yes.
What was his purpose? Who manufactured him?
I think the Doppel manufactured him.
And the purpose?
To take his place.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right to me.
I think to take his place, because there has to be, it feels like this time has been ordained. Yep. If I can use so strong a word in Twin Peaks, like this has been foreseen and is supposed to happen. So it happens, but Evil Coop has also known it was going to happen, and so is trying to circumvent that.
And that was a common theory at this point when the show was going on. I wanted to make sure you got there, so you could kind of be on board with what the fan community was at as they were watching. And that's exactly right. That's a sharp take. I'm with you. I just wish that Evil Coop would have found, like, I don't know, a toilet to sit in front of at 2:53 if he knew that that's when it was going to happen. Maybe he didn't have the hour exactly, but geez, don't be driving down the road when that happens.
Yeah, like I don't know if he knew exactly what was going to happen at that hour, but he knew that something was supposed to be taken, and he was not going to be it. Yes. So I'm very curious. Like, I don't know how someone would make a Dougie Jones. I looked. He is not on any Pinterest. There's no how-to on how to make a Dougie Jones.
You see when a man and a woman really love each other.
Oh, okay.
And one of them is an evil doppelganger, and the other is an arm.
Yeah, go on. Netflix and chill, Twin Peaks style.
That's exactly right.
Yes. So going back to that electrical socket, then our man Coop comes back, and here I think, okay, he's in the real world. He's made it. Agent
Cooper, be okay.
Here we go. We got it. Boom, boom, boom. Damn fine cup of coffee. And the guy doesn't know how he's like completely void of everything. Yeah. He has like no knowledge of who he was. He can't form a sentence. He is basically, he's almost like, he's very much lifeless, but I mean, living, but just, he's a blank slate. He's a blank slate, and he doesn't have his shoes. He lost his shoes in the transition. So,
one detail we may not have missed, or we may have missed. I'm not sure if you said it. Dougie Jones is wearing the ring.
Yes, he is.
Yes, the ring last seen being taken by a nurse in Fire Walk with Me in a deleted scene.
Yes,
so maybe not seen by most people.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And then it's placed back in the spot where it once was by Mike. Okay.
And in the secret history of Twin Peaks, this ring is a big deal. I believe it's first seen by Lewis and Clark. It is important, and it recurs over and over and over throughout the secret history. It seems to be kind of the one physical reminder of what is going on.
Okay.
The artifact that connects it all. It's the Ark. It's the Grail.
Yeah. And I wonder if it endows the person who has it with a power, or it in and of itself has a power.
Well, it was who was wearing it? In Fire Walk with Me. What is her name? Teresa Banks, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
she was
Teresa
wearing it,
Banks
and
has
then
it.
Laura Palmer wore it the night she died.
Hmm.
And only then.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't. The only power is to get murdered. It seems like,
Okay.
and there must be something more to it than that. I can't remember if in the Secret History it gets into the power about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. All
But
right. So
something
he's
like
back.
he's
He's in a
back.
trance. He's doing. In Zen, there's a goal of this kind of unthought, to be able to just be without thinking. It could
Hmm.
be that he's doing that. If so, it doesn't necessarily seem that desirable until. I think the first thing is after Jade gives him his shoes
Yeah.
and gives him his second ride of the day, as Jade says.
Thank you, Jade.
They're pulling out of there, and it looks like Dougie might have been into some stuff because there's two guys waiting for him.
Yeah. There's a guy with a very seemingly high-powered sniper rifle who's waiting for Dougie, and he is monitored by two people. The shooter, thanks to a fortuitous dropping of the key.
Yep.
The key, by the way, to a room at the Great Northern.
Yep.
And then the other guy puts a device. We're not sure if it's a bomb. We're not sure if it's just like a monitoring thing. But yeah, Dougie is part of. He's up to something, and there's a lot of small side conversations so far in The Return that have to do with money, that have to do with shady deals, that have to. There's all these like side evil goings on. Maybe not evil, but like there are these side things that are happening all around whatever feels like the main story. So there's just all these conversations, and everyone's immersed in their own deal.
Yeah, if you remember back to episode 1, there was the guy working in the casino who handed a bunch of money to his aide and says, "Tell her she's got the job."
Yeah. And it's just like in a very dark, like you don't want to wind up working for this person. That's never been referenced again.
Right, and that is also in Vegas. So that may be. I think we have good grounds to say that is connected to this. It seems like organized crime in Vegas is what's happening in both of those scenes. So Coop drops his key, and as he drops it, is the perfect time to drop it.
Great timing.
And this is, by the way, the idea of the unthought is, that you respond correctly to every situation, just thoughtlessly. You do exactly the right thing. And this, I think, is about as didactic as Lynch gets in terms of just do something weird because it has a reason. You just don't know the reason. But go for it. Lean down and get your key then, because that's the right time to get your key. And you won't know that you just saved your life and Jade's life, but do that. That's great. Now we're alerted that more once he gets to the casino.
True.
And starts winning in a big way. But I'd say he won a lot more when he didn't get shot in the head. That's a much bigger victory.
I would agree.
Meanwhile, across the street from Dougie Jones's, not his house, but the show home, whatever it is, it's not even. I don't even think it has furniture in it or much.
Yeah.
Is a house that is also not doing well, and I think that this is something of a statement on the real estate market and the financial collapse of 2008. In that this is a new development where across the street, the building we're looking at looks like it's never been lived in.
Yeah.
The building across the street is a crack house. Rancho Rosa Developments, which is the production company that makes Twin Peaks.
I saw that. Yeah, that was a nice little touch right there.
Yeah, and then we've got a mom screaming 119 as she gets ready to take another hit.
Yeah. Which I mean, yeah, you can. I have no idea what to make of this. Like I think we talked about at the outset of The Return, a very much like embracing it with the spirit of just like enjoying the ride.
Yep.
And so
let's try and make something because I think I've got a read on it. I have no idea if Lynch intended it or not, but I do think that the development there is meant to remind us of the 2008 financial crisis. And we've got a woman showing signs of addiction. And the thing that we're feeling is that she lacks responsibility. And what we discover is that she lacks control. She is staring, whatever it is, whatever drug she's doing, probably oxys. She is staring at it. She's willing herself not to take it. Is the sense that I get. And it's not a battle she can win. She's completely addicted. And so to fill in the gaps there, I think it could be a statement about capitalism and this addiction in terms of buying and selling and credit default swaps that resulted in the 2008 financial crisis, that these people had a responsibility. And yet, to what extent do we need to blame them? And to what extent do we need to understand the addiction to more money and trading? And it's not going to change unless we change the system, rather than blaming one trader, one CEO, for lacking responsibility.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that's my take on it. And I don't think that's by anything else in the show. I do believe we return to those characters at some point, but I don't believe we get them, watching Margin Call or something like that to really connect it.
Yeah. Great movie, by the way.
Great movie.
What I did at least appreciate that facade and underbelly motif that Twin Peaks constantly goes back to. Just that development, that Adobe kind of tan color that just blankets those developments, and you have no idea what's going on inside of those homes.
Right.
You don't know that some manufactured being just paid an escort, and then in the house across the street you have an addict mother and her son, and entire worlds are happening in this development, just beneath this really prim and proper facade.
Makes you wonder what's going on in the house next door to you, and the neighbors that you don't hear from. All right, but let's get to the casino.
Let's do it, man. Let's go to the casino.
Coop gets to the casino. He sees a blinking red light above slot machines that are about to pay out thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it looks like a miniature picture of the waiting room. Kind of floating above, like a little tongue of fire just there, but he can see the waiting room. He walks over, and just jackpot after jackpot after jackpot.
Yep. And the little old lady's been working at it all day and isn't looking too well. It's clearly another addiction. This one to money itself and to
interesting.
Gambling.
Okay.
She gives him the finger, which is such a great moment because she gives it so hard.
Yes.
Because I've been putting in the work day after day. Yep. I work hard and I get nothing. I just get deeper in debt. And here you show up, yell hello.
Hello. And jackpot. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Now I'm starting to see that addict kind of underline going through this episode. Huh. Very curious. All right. I'm going to have to think about that one.
Yeah. I know I sound crazy when I'm first saying it, but I think it's got legs. All right.
Yeah.
Coop makes some money. Things are looking good for him.
Yeah.
Or should I say Dougie Jones? I'm not sure which one I should say at this point. Whoever it is.
Who knows?
Let's cut over to smash cut to Philly.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Because speaking of looking good, my favorite, Albert Rosenfield, Gordon Cole, back in action. In the midst of, Lynch loves to cut into right in the middle or the right in the middle of a case.
Yep.
And Fire Walk with Me, whatever that case was.
The great school bus caper of Fargo.
Yeah, the great school bus caper. That's out. Never going to learn what that was. He and the gang are looking at a case they're investigating. This feels like something, again, there are several objects placed on the table that the accused says gives the identity or gives the location of, I think, a body that they're looking for. And I don't know if this is like Lynch playing a joke, or again that example of the Kuleshov effect of people trying to create meaning out of disparate images.
Yeah.
And so like you're like, I think he's playing with you because your mind can't help but try and create a narrative.
Yeah.
Like that's how it makes sense of things. Like why
a jar of beans, which you almost want to say, I'm supposed to guess how many there are, right?
Yeah.
That's what matters, is the number of beans. Another kind of interpretive thing.
Yeah. And it reminded me of something that Lost did. There's an episode where trying to think of the equivalent character for this, but the character's name in Lost is Richard Alpert, and he's sort of like the Mike of Lost. This person who is aware of the other space and can travel. And he sits down with a young kid who we're going to see as an adult later on, and he puts five or so objects down in front of the kid, and he asks, which of these are yours? Yep. He's never met this kid in his life. He sets down like a knife, a book, some sand, like a bag of sand and all this. And he says, no, like, which of these belong to you already? And so it's almost like being aware of the story in which you are in, even if at that moment you didn't realize you were in a story.
Yep.
And all of a sudden becoming awake to the fact that, oh, this is the story I'm taking part in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not sure. I think also there's the idea of the Zen or the skill to catch a killer thing, which is that it's going to demand new methods. You know, how will we discover it? I can't remember what Gordon Cole says, but it's something like, you know, we don't have the methods yet to catch this killer.
Yeah.
But we have to think of the box on this one.
True. But regardless, in the midst of this case, they get a call regarding Coop. He says it's about Coop. It feels like it's not a one-to-one. Oh, they found him. He's in Las Vegas. He's gambling. So like, it doesn't feel like it's exactly that. Like there is news regarding Agent Cooper.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that has me kind of like, I don't know.
Where are they meeting Agent Cooper?
Black Hills.
Black Hills.
Yeah.
That's not near Vegas.
Nope, not near Vegas. That's where I'm a little concerned as to like, is it yet one more doppelganger? Is it? I don't know what's going on. So all I know is 9 a.m. Black Hills.
Well, we do know that Evil Coop has been in the Dakotas.
True.
That's where the Black Hills are. So that may be leading us towards where we're going. Quick introduction to Tamara Preston. Tamara Preston. She writes the frame narrative around the secret history of Twin Peaks.
She writes the frame narrative.
Yes. So what you're given in the secret history of Twin Peaks is a dossier that was assembled by someone with high-level military clearance about the entire history of Twin Peaks, and there are notes throughout it by an unnamed FBI agent. And at the end of the book, you find out that the unnamed FBI agent is named Tamara Preston. And so when you're watching the show, if you've read the book, you go, oh, hey, it's her. It connects. And she determines at the end of the secret history of Twin Peaks, mild spoiler alert here, if you want to read the book, go read it instead, is that the author of the dossier is Major Briggs, because he's the only person who would know all this and would have high-level military clearance.
So, Tamara, is it Tamara? I
thought Tamara, but who knows? I'm going off of my Tia and Tamara knowledge.
Yeah. right? Come on. Sister. So,
Sister.
So Agent Preston read Major Briggs's dossier?
Yes.
Okay, and she made notes
Yep.
throughout it. So she knows the history of Twin Peaks.
Yes. And it appears that getting the dossier and determining that it was Major Briggs may have been a test that got her on this case. At least that's the way she interprets it as she's writing her notes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the fact that hearing Cooper, that should mean something to her.
Yes. Yes, she knows exactly what's happening, or well, she knows as much as they do,
right?
To an extent.
But she knows that something is happening.
Yes, but she will still be able to serve. I mean, it puts her in a nice place to serve as an audience stand-in, so that Albert and Gordon can explain things to her.
Yeah.
But also give her enough knowledge that they don't have to constantly be saying, okay, see, 25 years ago in Twin Peaks, this town in northern Washington, she knows enough that she can stand in as the audience.
Okay, nice.
All right, speaking of, let's get back to Twin Peaks.
Yeah, let's do it. Because Dr. Lawrence Jacoby is naturally painting shovels gold.
Yep.
And I think Ghostwood is finally opening. I think it's a groundbreaking or some sort of because where else? Where do you see golden shovels? At groundbreakings, at big events, and so I think Ghostwood is finally going on.
Wow, it's exciting. These are exciting times for us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to find out next week. So thanks again for joining us on What Exactly Am I Watching Here? For next time, we're going to be working through Twin Peaks: The Return Part 4. So start watching and catch up with us. I can't promise that it's going to get less weird. You can get a hold of us on Twitter, where our handle is OverthinkPod, and find more at overthinkpod.com. I'm on Twitter as @HelmStreet, 1S. Dom, where can people find you?
They can find me also on Twitter at Dominic_Lang, and I'm on Instagram as well, Dominic Lang. And
until next week, Dom, I know you like to say goodbye here, but I prefer to say hello. All right, Ben, I swear that makes sense as an ending.
Trust us, Ben. It works.
Oh, this was fun, man. Hey, I love our banter. I think we're getting good at this.
Yeah, I like the episode, just one episode, boom, and go.
Yep.
Feel like we're having more fun with it, and I like that.
Yep. Let's watch 6 episodes for next time.
Okay, great.
All right. I will catch you later.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace out, man. Thanks again.
Bye.